everyone, and thank you for waking up with me on Up with India. Today, I'll be joined by Chauntée D. Andrews, the Executive Director of Dance4LIFE School of Arts and Training Institute, based here in Wilmington, Delaware. Chauntée has left an indelible mark in the dance community for more than 30 years, and she's taught for numerous studios and institutes in the genre of ballet, jazz, tap, acrobatic, lyric, modern, you name it, she's done it. Her work has been featured in many forms, ranging from the Big Apple Circus in New York City to the Ladybug Festival right here in Wilmington, Delaware. And she joins me just ahead of a major performance that her dance company participates in during the holiday season, the 2020 Dunkin Thanksgiving Day Parade. So I am very, very excited to have her here on the show. Thank you so much, Miss Chauntée, for joining me.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing well. Very happy to have you on the show, and happy to share what is a rich history that comes with the over 30 years of talent that you have, accumulated. And so I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Of course. So your story begins at the Philadelphia School of the Arts, correct?
Yes.
And
School of Dance Arts.
School of Dance Art. And so somehow you have built a repertoire of blood, sweat, tears, and talent over the course of 30 years. Take me back to the hungry, the motivated Chauntée D. Andrews, and bring me back to that mind state when you were just upcoming.
As I said, my start was at the Philadelphia School of Dance Arts under the direction of Joan Myers Brown. And the Philadelphia School of Dance Arts is home to International Dance Company Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm rooted from. Mm-hmm. So all of the outstanding training, all of the opportunities, all of the experience came under that roof. Mm-hmm. Those years of working very, very hard. As I got a little bit older, I got my first teaching job there. So I had a chance to start my first ballet class teaching there at the Philadelphia School of Dance Arts. And it was wonderful. And I always enjoyed teaching. I always enjoyed performing. I'll say that. Love the stage. I'm a stage girl forever. But once I got a chance to teach and choreograph,
changed the world.
Something else just opened up for me. And I love the audience applause and the cheering when I'm on the stage, but to see my work get onto the stage and receive that same type of praise and adulation, it was something that felt totally different. And so I really enjoyed teaching. Took me through years of working with different studios, continuing my own performance career, and I was put in the position several times to have my own. Either start my own program or my own school. And I never wanted to do it. I enjoyed working someplace else, teaching for someone else, and then leaving. But finally, I always tell the story, God took a baseball bat. It is time.
Yeah.
Followed suit.
And we are going to get into the nitty gritty of this story because we got to pull it apart. There's so much that I'm sure led up to that moment of finally deciding to open up your own company. But it's funny that you kind of touched on it just a little bit, talking about that transformation from going from being a performer to being a teacher, because I found it so interesting that you ended up in this role with all of the talent that you have. So, how old were you when you first started dancing and then started teaching?
Okay, so I started my first classes when I was 3 years old. And I got my first teaching job at 16 years old. And for the record, I want to make sure I say this so everyone knows, I'm still 19.
Exactly.
That's not an ongoing joke, but I hold on to that. Yeah, that's how it all started. 3 years old and 16 was my first time in the classroom.
So between 3 and 16, what were the lessons that you were learning along the way to prepare you for the time that you would have to then be a teacher to others?
Well, I had some phenomenal instructors that really believed in me. In fact, they saw something in me before I knew that something was there.
Mhm,
They saw the love that I had before I knew that I loved dance. And
mhm,
so they really made sure that I was very rooted in structure and in discipline, and
mhm,
also understanding that as a young Black artist, a young Black ballerina growing up in the dance world, how hard I had to work, what I needed to do, and how I needed to present myself. So I got, I was really exposed to a lot of life lessons,
mhm.
a lot of things that would prepare me for teaching, but also prepare me for whatever it is that I really wanted to do. And so that's what I took into the classroom, and then further took into Dance for Life, which is
Mhm.
why it's called Dance for Life.
Who are some of the dancers that were coming up around that time that you remember and that kept you inspired to stay in theater?
Well, really, it was my instructors, my teachers, and I would say a
Mhm,
lot of them were original members of Philadelphia.
mhm,
So I can say right off the bat, one of my favorite ballet teachers is Karen Still Pendergrass. She was absolutely just not only beautiful to look at in the studio, but so inspirational and really pushed me very, very hard. There were dancers that were in the company that I loved looking up to, which is Deborah Manning and Deborah Chase, um, and then other ballet teachers. I've had living legends. I've
mhm,
had legends that have passed. One of the legends that is still alive today is Dolores Abelson Brown. She was one of my ballet instructors. One that has since passed away is Denise Jefferson. I had her for Graham. And so I've just being there at the Philadelphia School of Dance Arts and training within the training program and working with
mhm.
Philadelphia, I was exposed to people at that time later became living legends. And just to know that I had the opportunity to be in the classroom firsthand up front with them is just
Mhm.
an honor and a privilege.
What were some of those stereotypes about dance that when you were in the classroom and you were watching, that you learned that were not true after all of hearing, that particularly African American dancers can't do this, they can't do that. Talk to me about some of those stereotypes that you watched be broken right in front of your eyes.
That Black girls can't do ballet.
Mm,
I mean, that's the main one right there. That our physiques just don't look good on the stage, or the color of our skin won't blend in with the core line. It's just not true, and we do look beautiful, we do look wonderful doing the art. And I because representation matters, I was around a company that really represented it and let me see what I could achieve.
sure.
And so it wasn't something that seemed unattainable because of the opportunities that I had and the examples that I had an opportunity to see I could do it. And
Mhm.
so there was never a doubt in my mind that I could not achieve whatever it was in the arts or dance field that I wanted to do. It wasn't until later on, I think, that I started learning once going out to auditions and seeing different things. But I
Mhm.
started to learn that there was a little disparity in
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
But I was rooted in such confidence that I just kept pushing.
Mhm. Where did you grow up in Philadelphia, if you don't
I
mind?
was in West Philadelphia.
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Really? That's it, yeah. I did not spend most of my time on the playground, though. I was in the studio working nonstop.
I like that.
Yeah, but West Philadelphia is where I was raised. I went to Lamberton School for elementary school. I went kindergarten through 8th grade, and then I went to the high school for creative and performing arts, CAP.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Growing up, what would you say was the culture or the mindset of other, young people that were coming up just alongside of you? Do you think that everybody at that time kinda had that same hunger that you had, or were people afraid to dream as big as you were able to?
You know what? It's interesting you say that because I talk about this all the time. There were a ton of people in dance class with me,
Mhm.
but I can really think about those that went on to become dancers
Sure.
and those that went on into the arts world. Even when I got to performing arts high school, I mean, the dance department was huge,
Mhm.
but I can really think about how many of us went on. And it's interesting because sometimes, with Facebook, you can connect to
Mhm.
old friends and, old colleagues and buddies. And I may reconnect with people. They go, wow, Chauntée, you really did that dancing thing. Yeah, we went to school for it. I really wanted to do the dancing thing.
Right.
It's so odd to me. I'm like, why aren't you dancing? That's what we want to do. But so I did, I have a level of hunger
Mhm,
um, that I dream big,
mhm,
over the top, always been very over the top, big personality, loud presence.
mhm.
And so that kind of correlates to my aspirations and what I want to do.
What did your mother say to you when you told her, "I'm going for this professionally, full on. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be an astronaut. I want to be a professional dancer." What was
You
her?
know what? Listen, I've had so many people tell me, that their parents may not have supported that dream, supported the idea.
Mm,
I did not have that problem at all. My
wow,
mother never batted an eye, never raised an eyebrow. So, are you sure?
wow.
100% support.
Mm,
100%, 100% support. And in fact, it's interesting because my mother always wanted to be a ballerina.
oh,
And she always wanted to dance and train. And just because of family dynamics and things like that, she never was able to really get into it. And so my family kind of was looking at her saying, are you pushing Chauntée your dream?
right,
But
right.
I actually excelled. I became very good at it. And so the family kind of rallied around and said, okay, she's going to do this dancing thing. So I
Mm,
never had a problem with anyone in my family or my mother not supporting the whole idea.
mhm. Looking back, if you could talk to your past self, would she believe that you are where you are today and have accomplished what you have accomplished?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't know that I knew that it would have been this.
Mm,
I know that I always loved performing and I always loved teaching, but I don't know that it would have been this. Every time something happens, every time I'm afforded an opportunity or a new chance to express myself, it's a big deal. This with you this morning is a big deal.
that
Everything
is a big deal. I love being here with you.
deal. So I get so excited. It doesn't get old. I
Yeah.
think that myself now looking back, I would just continue to tell myself, just be prepared,
Mm,
be ready, just
mhm.
be ready because what's coming down the pike for you, be ready. So that would be my advice.
I like that advice. I think that can transcend to a lot of people's lives wherever you are. Just be ready. I like that.
Mhm.
What do you believe are the key elements to becoming an extremely talented and successful dancer and or teacher?
You have to remember that there's no arrival.
Mm,
You haven't gotten there. You haven't arrived. You
mm,
have to continue to grow. And the way that you grow is by allowing yourself to be taught,
mm,
continue to learn.
mm,
So I've always been the type where I'm always looking for things for the learning lesson. What can I take away from this? How can I make it better? What should I do to adjust? What else do I need to know? Maintaining that and staying fresh is what will help you. And
mm,
I give that advice to anyone that any of my dancers that move on and go to the college level or go to performance level internationally and abroad, I always tell them maintain that hunger to learn
mm,
because there is no arrival.
mm. You know, Miss Fonte, listening to you and your story and just hearing how you stayed dedicated over the years to your craft, there's so many people who have passions and purpose and dreams that they want to achieve, yet somehow life gets in the way, right? And so moments deter us and kind of bring us off course, and some people just don't get back. But you had a daughter, you are a mom. How were you able to still stay passionate about your dream while making this sacrifice to now raise another human being?
I've always been the type to know that I only have one life. And I always give the example that 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon will only come one time. It only comes once. You don't get any do overs.
Mm,
So each 24 hours, I have to make the most out of those 24 hours. So when I became pregnant with my daughter, I continued training. I continued dancing.
wow.
I danced all the way up until I was about 8.5 months. And I
You did what?
did, and I was carrying very large. The doctors thought I
Oh
was
my
20. That would have been a story. But
god.
nonetheless, I kept right on pushing. I took classes, and 6 weeks postpartum, I was right back into training, right back
Mm,
into classes. And I had my daughter right away with me as I began teaching and traveling different places. I would take classes at different institutes, and my daughter would be right there. laid out with her little blanket and her toys and her snacks so mommy could go across the floor and dance and do what I needed to do.
It's
So I'm sorry.
no, no, no. Please continue.
So I would just put out to anyone that, life happens and you have to remember that you're on a journey, and a journey doesn't always go straight. There's bumps and roads and turns and curves, and you have to embrace all of that to continue you on in your path. And so there are times when things were very difficult, things were hard, and they still are. I'm not saying that it's easy, but I always embrace each moment and say, okay, how do I hurdle this? And also just remembering what you have hurdled to get to the point that you're at, that helps you for the next hurdle.
What would you say have been your biggest obstacle in life? For the most part, you have been able to just kind of go with the flow and make things happen irregardless. But what has been an obstacle in your life that was kind of like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get through this patch, but I did.
Yeah, I think just being a single parent,
Yeah,
just being a single mom, trying to raise my daughter. For
that's
me, the hardest thing was trying to decide, do I give her a quote unquote normal life where it's just upbringing in a home, put her in school, have a neighborhood, she gets to play outside, she rides her bike, or do I continue living the life that I want and bring her with me? And so that was really a tough decision for me. And I just decided that I wanted to be happy. I didn't want to trade my life for mommyhood, which anyone that's a mother out there, I know you understand this. Sometimes, we trade off. It's almost like we feel guilty. We trade off, well, now I have to be a mom. Now I have to raise a family. But I think our children seeing us happy and seeing us drive for something and push for something later on puts that same drive into them.
Mhm.
So the toughest part for me was trying to decide what to do. And I chose my happiness.
And had you not chosen your happiness, you wouldn't have won a title like Miss Talented Pennsylvania. Talk to me about that title and where did all of that come from?
Okay. So it was a pageant that I was in. It's actually called Hal Jackson's Talented Teens, Miss
Mhm.
Pennsylvania. And it was my first time ever doing a pageant.
Mm.
And it was very exciting for me. I just thought it was a nice opportunity to get a chance to perform,
Yeah.
but I actually won the title. And once I won the title, I got a chance to go to St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands,
Wow.
right, for the finals. And I went there, and let me tell you who the group was. They always have entertainers
Right.
for the pageants. It was New Edition.
Really?
Really? Was that a cool story? So I was in the same hotel with New
Oh
Edition.
my gosh.
Wow, and they were just like the little boy band at that time, but
Right.
the New Edition.
But they're new edition today.
Wow, they're New Edition, and they were New Edition then, but it was still like they were just starting out, kind of thing.
Right.
But it
Right.
was New Edition, and they were the entertainment for the pageant.
So when you won that title, again, you said that you weren't really expecting anything, but that you got it anyways. What was running through your mind at that moment when they were announcing this?
That was very funny. I'm very dramatic. Oh my goodness. So I can look back at it and I see it so clear. So I do have to tell you that Joan Myers Brown's daughter, Marlisa Brown, we grew up very close to each other, and she was there in the audience. And I just remember looking out in the audience, and she's standing up waving, and tears running down her face. And I walked to every girl that was on the stage and gave them a hug. I
Oh,
didn't think I was supposed to do that. I think I was supposed to turn around and massage my crown and wave, but I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, and oh my goodness. And
crack up.
it was very funny. But all the girls were so supportive. And I got a chance, to hug on the girls. And it's nice because a few of the ladies, I'm sure more are doing things, but a few of them I actually keep on social media, and
Mhm.
they have absolutely wonderful, wonderful careers. And
Mm.
they went on to do some amazing things. There was a singer that was there. She's absolutely brilliant. She was in the pageant at the same time. And then there's another dance director that's in Philadelphia who has her own program, and she was in the exact same pageant as me. So I was just among some really phenomenal young girls, and we were young, but we went on to really push to achieve what we were in the pageant for.
I'm no. It's no surprise that you competed in a pageant. That's probably why you're sitting in front of me, a beauty today. And first of all, I'm loving the look, loving the earrings. I feel like Wendy Williams has the shoe cam. Now I have to do an earring cam because we're
Yeah.
body. So I love it.
Yeah.
But I realized that as a dancer, there's so many physical changes that your body itself goes through. So talk to me about after years and years of training, how the physical and mental changes that you went through over the years have affected you.
I was a hot mama ready to break through my seams. You get a little bit older, you're not quite 19 like you said. Things change. I just remember what my body was like as, in my prime years of training and dancing,
Mhm,
and what it is today.
mhm,
And I remember when the change started happening, I would always feel like, I got to lose 10 pounds. I've got to lose this. I've got to lose that.
mhm,
And as I've gotten older and as I've matured, I'm thankful for life. I'm thankful to be here because so many people that I grew up with are either sick or have passed away. And so, although there's always something that we always want to improve upon, I'm still here.
right.
And so, I'm always thankful for that. But I do work very hard to make sure that at least I'm putting things into my body that will help my body to work and keep up the schedule that I need to keep up.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to say that it's easy to see the transformation. I love sitting back, looking at the dancers, saying, "Let me tell you, way back when I was a snatch little cookie, is one thing, but it's okay. I'm not a snatch little cookie. I don't know what the kids call it now, a snack. That's what it's
Snack or a
called.
meal.
A little snack. A low carb snack. I try.
Some dancers describe moments where their feet were blistering and bleeding and having to wrap them and things like that. Did you have to go through some of that?
Oh my goodness, yes, yes. The feet are not the prettiest things. I still go and get the pedicures and the nail polish, toenail polish.
Right.
There's little things. It's always a reminder when I get to the nail salon and they go to paint my baby toe and they say, "Well, where's your baby toe?"
No.
Drop a dot and it'll be okay. But yeah, things happen. It's like anyone else. Any type of field that you're in, you have an instrument, right? Well, in dance, your body is your instrument. And so it can take some wear and tear. It can take some things that happen. And so you may have some war wounds and some, the bruises to show for it, but it's still rewarding. It's still absolutely rewarding. I know that my feet really went through when I started point work. That's
Mm.
when the feet
For
started.
those that don't know what point work is, describe that.
So it's when you see the dancers, the ladies, and they're on top of these beautiful shoes on top of their toes. Looks like they're just floating
Insane.
across the floor. And it really looks like they're just floating and they're just lovely and graceful. And
Mm.
inside their feet are doing like this. Right? But on top, they're just lovely, just floating beautiful. But it's a lot of work to do the point work. And
Yeah.
so you feel it, you really feel it there. And you take off the shoes and you have, bruised up feet,
Mm.
cracked feet, bleeding feet, things happen.
Now, was ballet, I'm sure it wasn't, but I'd like to know what other dance genres did you tap into, so to speak? Did you get into uh, outside of just ballet?
So when I was a little girl, we had a combo class. We would do part ballet, part acrobatics.
Mm.
And I really excelled in acrobatics.
Mm.
They, Joan Myers Brown would watch classes and see us, if not be the teacher for it. And she noticed that I had just something different. I was a little more, I was exceptional for my age.
Right.
And my acrobatic teacher, Bernice McGarry, was my teacher over at the Philadelphia School of Dance Arts. And then I was sent to Louis Ferrante in South Philadelphia for contortion training.
Mm.
Louis Ferrante and his wife, Evelyn Ferrante, traveled and toured in the vaudeville circus. So if you remember the stories of the train coming to town, the circus coming to town, they were my teachers. And
Wow.
so I learned some exceptional tricks. And it was really nice, especially being a young Black girl, to be able to do things that you would most times see maybe the Chinese acrobats do. For the
Sure.
time, the bending, the flexibility, being able to take your feet and put them under your chin. And so I really excelled in that field and trained for a very long time.
Now it makes a lot of sense why I see some of your dancers do the types of things they do. It's a lot of that, that has been now incorporated into their dance routines and things. I see them, they're so flexible, they're bending, they're twisting. I'm like, "How are they doing this?"
Yeah.
We're gonna get into more of that,
Okay.
more, down the line, but I do wanna know, I want some inside secrets, some type of conversations, that you believe women in the musical theater dance industry go through, and they talk about amongst each other, but it's not widely known to the general public.
I think the biggest thing is just weight, maintaining your body image.
Mm,
It's really tough, and it's just it's a tough thing to deal with. You have to make sure that you're not picking up weight. Your body has to be toned. You have to be able to, when you're in companies, get into the costumes that are presented for the repertoire. You can't gain weight, or you're doing lifts, and the men have to be able to pick you up. And so there are things that I think are done that may not be the most healthy thing to do, that
mhm,
people do to be able to maintain the body image, and also just mentally preparing yourself for going to the auditions and hearing no more often than you hear yes, and
mhm,
just what that does to you, and just in hopes that you continue to push.
mhm,
So, not making auditions and trying to maintain body image and
mhm.
weight, trying to get principal roles within companies, all of that plays into the psyche, and you really have to be very driven and not give up. And then, again, that's for anyone, I believe, that's in, especially any field within the entertainment business.
Mhm. Do you think it's unrealistic for full body figured women to want to enter this industry?
Not today.
Mm,
Not today. When I was a little girl coming up, I can remember being on tour with the circus, and I was one of two black girls that were in my line. And I
mhm,
just remember looking at the white girls that would be in the line with me, and what their bodies looked like versus what my body looked like.
mhm,
I had the rear end that kind of sat this way, the little shelf behind me. And at that time, they didn't. Now bodies have changed. I think a lot of it's attributed to foods and things like that. But
mhm.
at that time, they were so small and so thin, and I had to really push to maintain my body image.
Mhm. What has been the most memorable part of your career thus far? And I'm not even talking about getting into teaching and at your dance company, but just before that, what was the most memorable part?
I have a good story to tell. I was always a performer with the casinos in Atlantic City. So I did what was called the Pony Express. I was
Mm,
always too short to get to Vegas to be a Vegas girl, but I love showgirl work. And so I did showgirl work in Atlantic City, and we would do big high roller parties.
mhm,
And one of the pieces was a can number. So, you know how the girls swing the skirts for the can. So I was the girl that had to do the handstand.
uh-huh,
The skirt fell over my head, and I had to kick my legs upside down.
uh-huh,
And so I'm on my hands, and because I was very well trained by two outstanding acrobatic and gymnastics teachers, I could hold a handstand. And I'm kicking my legs. And when the presentation was over, now we float through the crowd, just talking to people and making sure everyone's having a good time.
mhm.
There was a gentleman that came up to me. He looked at me. He said, "That handstand looks familiar." And I'm looking at this older white gentleman going, "I'm talking about, sir. I'm a showgirl, nothing else, sir." But I'm looking at him, and he said, "Louis Ferrante." And
Mm,
I looked at him, and I said, "That's my acrobatic teacher." He said, "My name is Jay Dash. I was his partner in the circus." He
wow.
said, "I don't know that handstand anywhere." And
Wow.
it just made me feel so good and so proud that this older man could walk up, and that I was trained so well that
Mm.
he could recognize the student. He could recognize that the handwork, he could recognize that print work of Louis
Mhm.
Ferrante.
I'm sure that's very, very, important as a choreographer, as a teacher, to make sure that your dancers dance in a way that makes them stand out. Whether it's because someone recognizes their style and technique, or it's because they are just dancing at a high level of excellence. And so that is amazing. In 2007, you won an international award, right?
Yes,
Correct?
yes,
And so Tell me about that award and what it meant to you to be recognized overseas. Was that the first time that you were acknowledged outside of the United States?
Yes. So this is for the New York Institute for Dance and Education. They do a day in dance for international stage,
Mhm,
and it is run by the CEO, Sean McLeod.
mhm,
I received a letter that year that I was going to be honored at the festival in New York,
mhm.
and I was going to receive the Carmen de Lavalade Artistic Fellowship Award. Now, Carmen de Lavalade, I know the dance world knows who she is, but for your viewers who are familiar with the movie Annie,
Yes.
the Punjab that was in Irving, that's her husband, Jackie Holder.
Ah,
That's Carmen de Lavalade, and Carmen de Lavalade is an
mm,
absolute icon in the world of dance and a living legend. And
mm,
so I had the opportunity to receive an award named in her honor. I had an opportunity to meet her, speak with her, and even go out to dinner with her that night. And it was just wonderful just being able to hang onto every word that she said to me that evening. And I
mm.
remember something that just sticks out to me. I always tell my dancers when they jump, I should look up in the air and they should look like fireworks just shooting. And she looked at me at dinner that particular night and she said, "Oh, Chauntée, your dancers jump so high, they look like pole vaulters." I was like, "Yes, that's high. That's what I want to hear." And so I was just so honored. I was so honored. And I remember sitting in the audience and I had my daughter with me. My daughter's name is Giovanna.
Mhm,
And my Gigi was sitting beside me and she was just holding my arm like, "Congratulations, mommy." And I was like, "This is really it. This is wonderful." So
mhm,
it was just amazing.
mhm.
Amazing. Amazing.
Mhm. Oh my goodness, such a beautiful story, and so many beautiful stories that is now just rolling us right into the moment of you decide to create your own company.
Yes.
So bring me back. You said that you had this coming to life moment, this,
Mhm.
word from your spiritual leader
Yeah.
that came to you that it's time. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, like I said, I never really had the desire to have my own. I really enjoyed just jumping from place to place, working all over the place. But I kept being put in a position to develop my own program and have my own school, have
Mhm,
my own company. And then finally, one day, it truly was just like that. It was wake up, it's time.
mm,
This is it. It's time. And I really stepped out on faith. And it started out with a summer program. And that's really as far as I was going to go. I was just going to do a summer program.
wow.
And during the summer program, some of the parents said, "Are you going to continue this in the fall?" And in my head, I'm saying, "No, I'll see you guys next summer. The summer program." And my mouth opened up and said, "Yes." And
Mm,
once my words came out, I had to stand behind it. And
mhm.
so I kept pushing and it came about and it blossomed from there. And we're in year 13 now.
Wow, wow, wow. So from an idea that was just for a summer program has lasted for 13, 14 years.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
insane.
yeah,
That's insane. But it just shows what consistency, dedication, and believing in yourself can
yeah,
do. Dance for life. For
yeah.
those that are watching and they're like, why that name? What do you
You
say?
know, it's funny because Dance for Life was not the name of the studio.
Mm,
It was my motto as a teacher.
wow.
So that's how Dance for Life came up. Dance for Life came about when my daughter was probably about 8 years old. She
Mhm,
did a photo shoot with one of the dancing schools that I was teaching at.
mhm,
And that picture became the logo for me as a choreographer and an independent contractor.
sure.
And I had business cards made. And I said, well, my motto is Day Life because I've always said to my students, 98% of you will not go on to concert dance, but 100% of you must be successful in life. And so I always, and still continue to, teach classes to make sure that my students get life skills, that they can take the things I'm teaching them and take them into life. And so Dance for Life was actually the model for me as a choreographer. And once I opened my school, I took it right over and said, what better name and to have Dance for Life. So Dance for Life is the school name now.
Mhm.
And the logo, it's still my daughter. It's her image of when she was 8 years old.
So you didn't actually go straight from Philadelphia to Dance for Life, but you went from Philadelphia to Delaware to the Delaware Contemporary to Dance for Life. So before opening up the school, talk to me about what were the things that you picked up as a teacher for the Delaware Contemporary that you took on with you in your own company?
So the Delaware Contemporary Dance Theater is my company. And I developed that as a result of being a teacher at different places. So I taught at so many different schools within Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware, DC, New York. I traveled abroad teaching.
Mhm.
And what I will say is one thing that I took from it is that discipline was the key. You had to maintain a level of discipline so that the dancers and those students could understand the seriousness of the art form. And so that filtered right over into what I do now with Dance for Life and the level of discipline that I want for it.
How many or what are the different dance styles that you offer at Dance for Life?
So the dance genres we have now are ballet, jazz, modern, acrobatics, hip hop, contortion, adult classes in ballet, jazz, modern, and tap. And we also, I think I said point classes already also. Yeah.
And what would you say is the most sought out program that you find that has the most people in?
It's interesting. I have to be honest and say that Dance for Life, 98% of the students that we have take all of the classes.
Mm,
They all take unlimited classes. It's very maybe a handful of students that might take one or two classes.
mhm,
But most of our students come in to train in all genres of the classes. So that
mhm.
is a blessing.
And what is the age range of the students there at Dance for Life?
So we start at age 3 all the way up through adults.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, the little
So how are the classes broken up to ensure that each age level is within the right level of, that
sure.
they're supposed to be at?
Sure. So what we do is we place dancers according to age and ability.
Mhm,
Okay. So our 3-year-olds are only permitted to take ballet classes until they hit age 5. And
mhm,
then once they hit age 5, between 5 and 7 years old, they can take all of the classes. Then we go to age 8 to 10, 11 to 14, 15 through 18, 19 and up. And then we have a separation of our adult classes. So we have an adult program that allows for adults who just want to stay in shape and kind of just, always wanted to dance, always wanted to take a dance class, and now later in life want to try it. And then we have a program for adults who grew up in dance school, started at age 3, and kind of aged out of the dance school life, but
mhm.
they still want to seriously train. And so we have both programs.
How have you sought out your teachers and those that are assigned to teach the different classes? How have you decided who's best for what?
Yeah, that's really, really good because Dance for Life is my baby. So it's like any other parent, you're very cautious about who you put in front of your children,
Mhm.
who gets to share in the grooming and the raising of your kids. So I always go back to my mentors. I always go back to those who taught me and I ask what their availability is, if they're able to come in, because they gave me such, wonderful root and stock in the dance world that I want my dancers to be able to have the same opportunity. Another thing that I do is as I'm teaching the dancers coming up, I like to then start putting them in the classroom for them to learn how to teach. So we also have a program where the dancers can start to assist and help out in the studio.
Mhm. I have to put you on the hot seat right now and ask you a
Um,
question that you might tell me, Indy, I can't answer that. But there is always a rising star amongst any profession, right? And we're
yeah.
talking about football, cheerleading,
Mhm.
track, dance. Who is the Misty Copeland of Dance for Life right now?
Woo. Woo. I'm going to look right in the camera and I'm going to honestly say it's my favorite student. Mwah.
Oh my goodness. It is the favorite student. That is not not fair.
It is so fair. It is so fair because that's my ongoing joke. I always look at the kids, I say, hey, listen, can my favorite student help me with this? And they all come running because they all know they're my favorite student. But here's the thing. Every student has their own talent. And I know this is a very, politically correct answer. But every student has their own talent. Every student brings their own thing. What I can say to you, to be fair, is the Friday night group, they're the party group. And that's true. That's an honest answer.
Okay.
They're my, get it going. They come in on 10 and they get on 20. Those kids are, they're a lot of fun to teach. So I'll say my Friday night group, they're a lot of fun.
Fine, I'll settle with that. I know that there's one amongst you that you don't want to say, but I'll be looking out for her at the next performance. But one of my questions that I've been wondering, and when I look at different coaches, choreographers, I always think, how do you know when far is too far? And what I mean by that is, have you ever feared pushing someone against their limit in terms of capability? And was there ever a moment that you realized that you had to pull back for their safety?
Oh, that's such a good question. I've always been the type of teacher where I push people beyond what they believe their limits are. But I think as an educator, I know when it may be too far when their emotional prowess changes within the moment of me teaching them, within the correction that I'm given, or just how their energy looks as they're coming in. So, I have some students that I can drill and drill and drill, and they just take it up and take it and take it. But I have some students where if I say one thing, they're a little more emotional and tears may come. And so it kind of gauges how much I can do, how much I can say. And I always ask the question, who in here wants to be a dancer? And when they raise their hand, I say, okay, well, this is the green light for me to do this. This is the green light for me to say this. This is the green light for me to have this level of expectation from you. But for people who do not want to be dancers, I say, this is the green light for me to say what I want to say and do what I need to do, because I still need you to be successful in life. So, some of the things, for example, I tell the dancers that being on time is late. The class starts at 4:30, don't come in at 4:30. Come in ahead of time so you can get warmed up and stretch. Well, that's something you can take into life, right? If you're due to be at work at 10 o'clock, you don't come strolling in at 10:01, 10:02. You're late. And so, it kind of, I think their presence kind of lets me know what's too far.
Living within a city that also features other dance groups and different types of organizations, how does your company stand out being in a highly competitive space? Because we must agree that dance is competitive just by nature. Everybody wants to be the best version of themselves as a dancer. So how do you deal with the competition, or do you not?
I don't. I don't look at things as competition. I look at what my goal is for my dancers. So my goal for Dance for Life is to be an institute for people who want to go into the dance world and want to be in the dance arena, in the dance world. So it's about preparing students to be able to be international dancers. So I keep blinders on. I don't look to the left. I don't look to the right. I really keep myself grounded on what do I need to do to make sure that my students can make an audition. They can be seen by international choreographers. They can be picked up by executive directors and companies worldwide that will want my dancers. So that's really what my focus is all the time.
If you woke up tomorrow and the world was completely different, and for some reason you weren't running this company and being a dance teacher, choreographer, what would you be doing?
Criminal justice. I always wanted to be a criminal lawyer. I always wanted to be a defense
I
attorney.
was not expecting that.
Yeah, always, always, always. Like I wanted to get the case that all the odds were stacked against them. And I could go, no, hairpin, it's not there. Yeah, I always want to be that person. So like TV shows like How to Get Away with Murder. That is me walking in, snatch the wig off, and look at them like this. Yeah. That's what I always wanted to do. I want to snatch the wigs and lashes. Girl love to be cute. But I definitely wanted to be that person, like how to get away with murder. So, I was suckle into that.
Oh my goodness, that is
Oh, yeah, that's
hilarious.
what I wanted to be. And I always say that it's still not too late for me. Like,
Right,
I tell myself that if anything ever happens where I'm just like, I can't do this dance thing anymore, I'm going to
right.
anybody out there giving money for law students.
Listen, I believe that anybody can wake up at any time and do anything. Kim Kardashian woke up in the middle of her life and decided she wanted to be lost. So why?
Yes, and that's what I want to be. And I want to be, but see, I'm a little dramatic, so I want to be in the courtroom like a TV show,
Right.
laying with my hand down, looking at the jury like this. Like I'm just a little too dramatic. So like, ma'am,
No,
Peters,
I think they would love you. That's what wins the case, right?
right? I don't want to, but I always want a surprise witness to come through the door. Oh gosh, no.
I cannot imagine. I mean, I can, but that is so funny.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked that question
Yes,
is
ma'am.
because back in March of this year, the world completely changed. Doors were closed, schools were shut down, some businesses failed. How were you able to adapt to the pandemic considering the shutdown of businesses and just, make sure that your students were still being taught and that business could continue as usual?
Wow, it's something that I'm sure everyone says it was nothing we could have ever prepared for.
Mhm.
Just nothing that you ever would ever think would happen. And I did like a lot of businesses. I took you know, to Zoom and having classes that way, virtual classes for the dancers, and just setting up a curriculum of studies for them so they could continue to train. It was tough. It was definitely tough, but I'm glad that we were able to do it. We still do have, the virtual classes for people, but it was hard. It was not an easy thing at all, and it was mentally difficult, emotionally difficult. I remember, I remember the last day that I saw the students. We were finishing up a photo shoot for our upcoming Easter concert,
Mhm.
and I think Delaware had just maybe gotten up to maybe 4 or 5 cases, but the schools had just closed on that Friday, and we were shooting that Sunday.
Mhm.
And I remember saying goodbye to all the dancers, and I was due to see them on that Tuesday. And as they were walking out the door, I knew in my gut that I was closing my doors. I just knew it. I knew I was closing them. And I remember just waving to the kids. And they're like, we'll see you this week, Miss Chauntée. We'll see you Tuesday, see you Tuesday. And I'm just shaking my head the inside going, I'm not going to see you guys. And so it was very hard. Um, it was just, just no words for it. It's too
Mhm.
difficult, too difficult. But I'm glad that I was able to figure out a way to have the virtual classes and with the help of my daughter because I'm older. I don't know that techie stuff. I'm trying to figure stuff out. And where's the microphone? And I'm touching the laptop like it's an iPhone, trying to rub my hand across the screen. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
But my daughter helped me figure it out. And the dancers worked so hard. So, and
Mhm.
I appreciate that support. I appreciate the support of the parents for Dance for Life during that time because they just continued plugging away and trying to figure out what we could do to maintain and keep our doors open.
One of the creative things that I saw you do at that time outside of the Zoom, which was like, that was super awesome. I thought that was cool. But you did a masked themed photo shoot. Talk to me about that and the concept for it, and even just beyond just the mask itself, which represented what we were going through in the pandemic. What was the story behind that photo shoot you did?
Well, I knew that I wanted us to be able to come back into the studio at some point.
Mhm.
And there has been so much reservation and fear, especially at the onset of us being told to wear masks and how much we could do. I can tell you for myself, I felt very closed in when I first started wearing the mask. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't breathe. This is too much. And I really wanted to create um, not just marketing, but also to show the dance world and also my friends and colleagues, we can do this. We can dance and still be protected. We can move and still be protected.
Mhm.
And so we did a photo shoot with the mask on. and the girls did a beautiful job. And I knew that if we ever got a chance to come back into the studio, I wanted the dancers to wear masks, but I wanted to make sure that in the marketing and in the advertising, they saw that it was possible. Because if you just put in writing, you have to wear a mask, it's like, how are we going to do this and we'll wear a mask? But if you show them it can be done, I think it was very helpful. So we had a good time shooting. I used about 5 girls for that shoot, and they did a beautiful job. The photographer that we use is an international dance photographer, Brian Mangini, who has been working with us for over a decade, and he shot impeccably as always. And so I was just, that was the idea behind it, just letting everyone know it can be done. It's not impossible.
Mhm. Before the world completely changed our lives, before the pandemic completely
I
changed
know.
our lives, what were some of the performances that you and your dancers participated in? Take me through that for a second.
Woo, 2019. So our season goes from September to June. So we were going from September 2019 to June 2020. But of course, things shut down around March
Mhm,
2020.
mhm,
But from September to March, we were super busy.
mhm.
So our season kicked off with Dinner en Blanc. We
Yeah,
were invited to be guests for Dinner en Blanc, which
yeah,
was fabulous.
I
So
remember
we
that.
were right here in Delaware, performing right up on Market Street. We
Mhm,
had a chance to be the guest for that. And then we moved on, and I had such an honor to perform over right at the county building, where
mhm,
we got a chance to meet the president of City Council, Dr. Hanifa Shabazz,
mhm.
and meet the mayor, Mayor Krasicki of Wilmington. That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Then we turned right back around and performed at Universal Circus in Philadelphia, where we opened for the circus. And that was so cool because the contortionists that are on their circus came out into the audience to watch us go out there and perform. So we
Wow.
got wonderful pictures with them.
Was that a full circle moment for you, considering that's you love acrobatics and all of mm,
Absolutely. And also because I got a chance to perform with the circus. So that's something I didn't tell you, but I was also a
mm,
performer with the circus growing up. So I
wow.
get a chance to, now my kids, my dancers are up there now opening for the circus. So we did Universal Circus. We turn right around and we go right into Thanksgiving Day Parade. That's aired live on 6 ABC. We did the Dunkin 6 ABC Thanksgiving Day Parade. It was the 100th anniversary. So that
Mhm,
was amazing.
mhm.
Turn right back around, and we are at in New York at the Big Apple Circus opening for them to
Wow,
perform. So we
wow.
did the Big Apple Circus. We turn right back around and we put
I
up
think it was
I know, I love it. You know, you can tell I live for this excitement. We come right back around and we do our holiday concert.
wow.
So we do our holiday concert is about receiving a gift and a blessing.
And
And
where is that hosted?
yeah, so we do that at the Wilmington Drama League. We actually have it coming up again
Mhm,
on December 19th and 20th. It's going to be a little different this year. Just a sidebar, real quick. It's going to be a little different this year just because of social distancing.
right.
Normally, we do one show, but we're going to do 2 shows, which will allow our audience to really sit separated and apart so that they can come out and enjoy the concert.
Nice,
So,
nice, nice.
2019, we did the Christmas show, and then we took our holiday break after January, and we came right back. And the very last show we did right before COVID changed our world was our Black History Month performance, and that was also held at the Wilmington Drama League. So
Wow.
we're very, very busy. And
Oh my goodness, a
I love it.
traveling dance company.
I know, we
Yeah,
are.
and I'm sure that the girls are. I'm not sure if you also have males in the program as well, but I'm sorry I speak like that. I'm assuming that the girls had so much fun just being exposed to different opportunities. Talk to me about some of those stories that you hear from them that oftentimes either brings you to tears or reminds you why you do the work you do.
Yeah, it's just so nice when the dancers get excited about an opportunity to perform. You know, I love when I hear them buzzing about in the dressing room. Like, don't forget, you got to make sure you have this, and don't forget, we have to have that. They take it so serious. Or I love to hear them say, we need to rehearse a little bit more. And they like to get together on their own to rehearse, and they'll create their own, groups of text messages where they'll stay together, and then they'll contact me. Hey, Miss Chauntée, can we come in on a Monday? Because we want to open a building because we really need to rehearse. I love to see them have a vested interest in things. And so for me, those are the emotional moments when I know that I love it, but to see them love it that much, it really makes me proud. And also to see the parents get excited. I love when the parents do get excited, and they're taking pictures and snapshots, and and I'll always say, hey, did anybody take a picture? And a flood of text mail comes through, and everyone's taking pictures. But I love that they're so excited all the time about
Mhm.
having opportunities to perform.
And how excited are they for the 2020 Dunkin Thanksgiving Parade?
Oh
Are you more excited than them?
my God. You're like, ah! Okay, so this one is different. Normally we're out there live when it's happening. But that is just amazing in itself. Our day starts at 2 a.m. in
Mhm.
full hair and makeup and costumes. We're meeting at the designated hotel spot at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
Everyone's zipping off to get on their floats, and we've got to do camera rehearsals, and it's so much. Well, this one's different. This one's going to be pre-recorded.
Okay.
So this one's pre-recorded, and I am so excited to say that Dance for Life was invited once again to participate in the Dunkin Thanksgiving Day Parade. So this
Congrats.
time they're going to get a chance to see us as virtual fans. So
Mm.
in between some of the dance numbers and some of the performances, you'll see Dance for Life waving and applauding for things. And then this year, Dance for Life was selected to be a part of the opening number, which is huge. That
Mm.
is so major to be able to get that spot. So we're in the opening number, we're a part of another production for Respect, and then we're a part of another old school kind of fun piece that you'll get to see the dancers do. So
Mm.
we had the chance to go to 6ABC
Mhm.
last Thursday, and we did our filming for that. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of preparation, and all of the ladies look absolutely beautiful. So I can't wait for the viewers to get a chance to see us in
Mhm.
Thanksgiving morning. So make sure you tune in.
Yes, and so again, they can watch where? How can people tune in, make sure that they are part of this moment?
Yeah, so it's going to be on 6ABC, and it's going to be on Thanksgiving morning.
Mhm.
So the parade usually starts at with a pre-show thing. So for Good Morning America, things like that around 8 a.m. And then at 9 a.m. the parade kicks off, and you'll get a chance to see. So make sure you're tuned in early because you do not want to miss Dance for Life performing in that opening number. And then stay tuned throughout the entire program because you'll see us in many different places all throughout the parade.
Oh, that is exciting. I can't wait to tune in.
I
And I hope that everyone who's watching, you guys tune in as well. It's been a pleasure having you on
thank
this show.
you. Thank you.
Really, you tell great stories, one. And it's been no, it's perfect. It's great, hearing, the passion, that you have for what you do, and I think sometimes people lose that over the years, but that's something that has stuck with you. To close this out, I have one final question, for you, Chauntée, and that question is, what is one thing in this lifetime that you want to accomplish or you will regret?
Mm. I don't know how to answer that. Honestly, I have accomplished so much more than I thought that I would. I really, really have. I feel emotional thinking about it. I've accomplished a lot, way more than I thought that I ever would. And I think the only thing I will regret is just not staying open to receive, not staying open to receive blessings, and just understanding that my blessings may not come how you think they're going to come, but they do come. So there's been just been so much that has come my way, has come by for the school and for the dancers, and like I said, just staying open to receive, never getting to a place where I shut down or give up, no matter how difficult things may become. Just keep pushing, and just stay focused. Just stay focused. it. That's all I can say. I feel emotional. I've been silly all this time. Now you got me boo-hooing.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Thank
I will do
you.
that. Thank you for being on the show, Chauntée. It was a pleasure having you
Thank
here.
you so much. Thank you, India.
And thank you to all of you for watching. For more news, updates, and information, make sure to follow us on social media at WITN22WILM. And don't forget to check them out during the 2020 Dunkin Parade, Thanksgiving Day Parade on 6 ABC. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.